for the list building part of the presentation, we spent some really good detail on that because I think that's the most important thing. So list building is the most important part of any business. That's my story, and I'm sticking with that. Now, for the traffic portion of it, as I mentioned earlier, I don't want you to feel as if we're going to rush through the traffic. So each of these methods of traffic that we're about to talk about, I can literally do a 1 to 2 hour webinar just on that traffic. I think there's about 10 that we're going to go through and look at. So there is opportunity to really dive deeply into these traffic methods. The purpose of this presentation is really, I just want to show you what's out there as far as potentials of driving traffic for yourself or for your clients, and also just to more get a feel for how you would think about using these traffic sources. What's interesting is that, I believe the title of this talk was basically how to write ads that drive traffic, this is all one giant animal: getting the traffic, building the list, following up. With the list building in mind, and that's what we talked about in the first part of this presentation, is that having the list building mindset, list building versus a garage sale, the quote from Mary Ellen, is what you're going to see with the ads and the marketing is that whenever and no matter what ad we use or what source we use, the purpose of the ad is usually going to be to promote our free offer and drive traffic back to our website. So that's really the intent and the purpose of this presentation, is to show you what's out there and to show you how to think about that. And then by all means, hopefully my goal is for you to identify maybe a couple ways that you might say, that's something I think I could do for myself, or that's something I want to learn more about doing for my clients, and explore and master that. By no means am I expecting you to learn and master all of these methods. That would absolutely be counterproductive. So with that said, we'll get through this presentation. Does that sound fair enough? How we're going to approach that? Okay, the top ways to get massive amounts of website traffic. What you'll discover. The only 3 types of online traffic. So, literally there's hundreds, thousands of ways to drive traffic, but really there's only 3 types of traffic and ways to think about driving traffic, and I'll share those with you. How to think about traffic. Most people have the wrong mentality when it comes to traffic, and we'll talk about that. This is another point of how you can educate your clients. Really, to let the cat out of the bag, it's really the quality of the traffic and not the quantity of the traffic. And it's about the conversion, which is where you really specialize in helping your clients. Especially if you start doing web audits and web reviews, you're going to hear that most of what your clients want, everybody wants more traffic. That's all they want. They want more traffic. They think that's going to solve all their problems, and in reality, it's not. Because if you can't make money with a little bit of traffic, you'll never make money with a lot of traffic. And I know that to be true because I know that traffic costs time, energy, effort, and money. And what are you going to do? Keep pouring money and time into a losing proposition? But most of your clients have to be educated about that. You probably already do that as far as copywriters, educating your clients about the importance of conversion. And that's really what's important. Once you have the conversion down, then yeah, sure, let's try to drive as much traffic to this thing as we can. We'll talk about some free traffic methods, some massive amounts of traffic within minutes. So that's the teaser for paid traffic. Paid traffic is really, we can get lots of traffic quickly, but of course there's some things to consider as far as making sure that traffic converts optimally. And we'll talk about that secret method, does anyone know what the secret method, I've already revealed this in the earlier presentation. What is the secret method that guarantees you'll never run out of places to find website traffic again? Your email list. That was it. It's kind of tricky the way I asked that question. Okay, 3 types of website traffic. So there's free traffic, and free traffic is great because it's free. And generally, most of the things that we do for free traffic will be long-term things that continue to give us traffic. Almost like passive traffic. It's basically passive. The issue with free traffic is that it usually takes time. So some free traffic methods might be, I'm going to start writing a blog post, and get free traffic from Google. I get rankings. Generally, that takes time to do. It builds up. What's nice about it, though, is that it generally keeps coming in. So a blog post I wrote 5 years ago continues to bring me traffic, and it all snowballs, because the more you write, the more authority you have, and it's just all, it perpetuates itself. So it generally takes some time to get it going, but it's free. And on the flip side of that, you have paid traffic. And paid traffic is generally traffic you get immediately. Usually, I mean, these days with most ad platforms like Facebook, AdWords, you can set up an ad, and in less than 12 hours, they'll approve the ad. If it's your first time doing it, if you're running a new ad, it'll take them a couple hours. So within like literally a couple hours, you can have an ad that's bringing in a lot of traffic. Cost money. What I mean by that is not that the ad actually costs money. Of course it costs money, but ideally if we're doing paid ads, we're getting a positive return on that. So that it doesn't really cost money. Like if I could buy an ad for $1 and get a $10 return, how many times do I do that, and how long do I do that? Right. So the cost isn't in the ad itself. The cost is in the testing to get the ad to that point where it's profitable. Because the first time you probably run an ad, it's not going to work, and you're going to lose all that money. But the important thing is you'll get the data from that. So did a lot of people click on this ad, or did a lot of people not click on this ad? So maybe I need to improve the actual ad copy. Maybe a lot of people clicked on this ad, but nobody opted in. So something's wrong with the squeeze page, the copy, the offer. Maybe it's a mismatch between the market and the message. Or maybe, hey, people love the ad, they clicked on it, they opted in, but then nobody bought the front-end offer. So the important thing is that you're going to get data from that. So it costs some money, and it takes a couple of tests to get your ad profitable, but then ideally it's profitable, and then you run the ad. So that's the pros of paid traffic. It can be immediate, and it can cost money. It's great that you know this for yourself. This is an important point if you're going to do this stuff for clients, because they need to be educated. I think it was actually one of the questions that Pam Foster does SEO, and that was actually one of her questions she posed to one of the speakers at the front, and she said, that's actually one of the issues I have is I work with SEO, and with what Joshua was saying about if I can show you how to get X, would it be worth this? How do we show the return? So that's something that your clients will need to be educated if they want to hire you to help them with SEO services. And we'll talk about what some of those might be. Maybe write blog posts for them, syndicate content. They need to know that does take time, and they may not see an immediate return on that. Same thing with paid traffic. They need to know that we do need to test, and it may not be profitable right off the bat. Final pieces of traffic, I like to call this leveraged traffic. This is really the type of traffic that I think gives you the benefits of both free and paid. So generally this traffic is free, if you think about it as free, the mindset, and it's immediate like paid without those disadvantages. These are going to be things like joint ventures. So joint venture is a leveraged form of traffic. If someone refers people to me, I'm getting free traffic, it's going to convert really highly. It can happen immediately. Viral traffic, I consider to be leveraged traffic. If something goes viral, people just start sharing my stuff on Facebook for free, and more people see it, it drives more traffic. It doesn't cost me any money, and that can grow quickly. So we'll talk about some of those as well. I'll show you, one of my favorite parts is how to maybe put some of these viral aspects into what you're already doing, or what you will be doing. Okay, as far as traffic goes, there's all different ways, different strategies and tactics. One of my favorite ways of thinking about traffic is through a method called integration marketing. And really the way to think about integration marketing is, as far as you go, or as far as your clients go, there are already websites out there that are getting a ton of targeted traffic relevant to their market or your market. There's already experts, there's already book authors, there's already blogs that get a lot of traffic, there's already people that have huge Twitter followings or Facebook followings, there's already people, podcasting is really popular these days, there's people that have huge audiences on Facebook. So instead of trying to do this all ourselves and start from nothing, what if we identified these places that already get traffic and see, well, how can we integrate and get in front of their traffic? How can we leverage off of their traffic? How can we get on their site, have them refer us, etc. And one of the ways to do this is the top 100 strategy. Now, I have to admit, I did borrow this from, there was a great sales trainer, Chet Holmes. Everyone here, Chet Holmes, really great book he wrote called The Ultimate Sales Machine, I believe, or The Ultimate Sales Funnel. I think it's Ultimate Sales Machine. Great book. But he was a sales trainer, and this is a strategy he taught to people who were looking to do deals and network and do joint ventures. But really, the top 100 strategy is identify the people you already know. So if you already know who the experts are in your marketplace or your client's marketplace, or you know who attracts the same type of client you or they are looking to attract, put those people onto a list. And if you need to brainstorm more, you can do this by doing some simple keyword searches. If I were working with a client in the self-improvement niche, I might just go to Google and type in some terms that I think that client would benefit from someone searching. How to cure this, how to get this, how to be this. And you'll see there's probably going to be websites and blogs and forums, YouTube channels that pop up that you may not have heard of before, or they may not have heard of before. And these are websites that, because they're ranked at the top of Google for these searches, we know that they're getting a lot of traffic. So the key is really to identify these websites and just see, well, how can we just integrate with this traffic that they're already getting? Integration marketing. So the example I use a lot is, because I work with a lot of authors and people in Jack Canfield's circle, is if I run a self-improvement market, I already know that Jack Canfield's a guru in the self-improvement market. So I'd go to jackcanfield.com and see, well, is there any potential way that I can integrate and get in front of Jack Canfield's audience? And there's some things I usually look for. First one here you'll see is the blog. So a lot of people have blogs on their websites, and a lot of people who have blogs, a lot of times they allow for expert guest posts. So can I be a guest expert on this website? When I first started online, that was one of my biggest strategies, was just offering the right original articles for other people on their websites. And of course, the exchanges, I get linked back to my website. Seeing if they have a blog. You can do blog comments on their blog, or you can maybe see if you can become a guest expert on their blog. That's a free method you could use. Another one here is these days with social media. So a lot of cases, hey, do they have a Facebook page? Do they have a huge Facebook following? If they do, I can become a part of their Facebook community, and I can comment on their posts. I can answer some of their members' questions and maybe establish myself as an authority or an expert on their Facebook page. Same thing with Twitter to a lesser extent. Twitter and all the social media buttons. And that's another free method to integrate with. So this is something you can do for yourselves, or this is something you can teach your clients to do. Just integrate with other websites that already have audience, influence, and expertise. What else do we have here? Oh, the big yellow highlight. Are they building an email list? So we've already talked about how of all the forms of traffic out there, email traffic's the most immediate, the most responsive. So if they're building an email list, is there a way that maybe I could do a joint venture with them and have them promote me to their email list? That would be the best case scenario. Let's be realistic. If I'm just starting from scratch out of nowhere, and go to Jack Canfield and say, hey, can you send an email to your list promoting my, that's not going to happen. But what you'll do through that top 100 strategy is you'll identify several B and C level players, maybe even up and coming new people who are just getting started or have, a decent following, a couple thousand or so. And that's really, and I think I have a slide that I'll talk about this later, but that's one of the ways that I established influence in my marketplace. Was I first went, when I only had 1,000 people on my list, I went to all the people who had 500 people or 1,000 on their list, and I said, hey, can we cross promote each other? I'll mention your stuff, you mention mine. I did that with 10 or 20 people, and now my list is 2,000. So now I can take my 2,000 person list and go to people who have a 2,000 person list and say, hey, can we do a cross promo? And I could even, now that I'm a bigger player, I have a lot of smaller players who are willing to work with me. And you just kind of move up the ladder that way. And it could be, it doesn't have to be promo for promo. Hey, I'd be happy to write an original content post for your blog if you maybe just send a tweet out to your followers, promoting it, if I did that. So there's lots of creative ways to do joint ventures. But integration marketing is really one of the best ways to do it. So blog commenting. The reason I want to point this out, the key with blog commenting is definitely, so in the whole social media space, is not to spam and not to just go on other people's websites and promote ourselves, but it's more to become a part of their community. So somebody has, this is actually Mary Ellen Tribby's website, workingmomsonly.com. So what I would do a lot, when Mary Ellen would write a blog post, I would just go in and just leave a quick comment saying, hey, I really liked your post, and this was my favorite part. I might even add my own tip. Never, promote yourself heavily, but I'm basically just engaging with her community and establishing a relationship. The reason I point this out is because I had one of the best success stories I have is one of my coaching students. He started with this very simple blogging. He'd go to a blog, and every time they did a post, he would leave a comment and then kind of establish a relationship with the blog owner. And then eventually got invited to do a guest post, and then the relationship kept escalating. And now, because of this simple, just leaving a quick 30-second blog comment, he's now they do 2 events a year, and he's one of the speakers at the event every 2 years, and he gets a lot of clients he's basically positioned as an expert and a guru in that community. And it all started by leaving simple blog comments on the blog and engaging with the community. So blogging is a way to kind of maybe get your foot in the door and just kind of get people to know you. Same thing with Twitter. A lot of times with influencers, if I see somebody write an article in Forbes magazine, I'll go to Twitter and I'll say, hey, really great article, and I'll tag them. And then now they know who I am. They might check out my profile, and that can lead to bigger things. So just simple free methods like blog commenting. And same thing on social media. You can. We all do this. I'm going to order the fish tacos tonight, or the brisket tacos tonight because of the social media. But social media is a great way. All these tools, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, it's a great way to connect with people that you probably would not have otherwise had an opportunity to connect with. And this is the free part of it. We'll also talk about the paid advertising opportunity. But just developing relationships on social media is a great way to do a couple things. Meet people of influence, develop relationships, and then be exposed to their audience as an expert. And also a great way for other people to find you and see that you're an expert and that you can help them. Free methods, like I said, these take time, but they're free. And then a step up from that is if you can actually get invited to do a guest post, and now you're positioned as an expert. You'll get much more traffic from being a guest blog post expert on a site than if you just left a simple blog comment. And usually, here's the pitch that I use, because I still use this today. It works really well. The pitch that I usually use if I'm contacting someone, I'll introduce myself. Hey, my name's Brian Edmondson, and I've been reading your blog for such and such a time. I really like it. I think it's really great. Compliment them on how awesome their blog is, how good it is. Maybe even cite a specific piece that you liked. And then just throw it out there. Say, hey, you know what? I don't know if this is something you'd be interested in, but I happen to be an expert in such and such a topic. And I was wondering if your audience would be interested in any of these topics. And usually you want to pitch them a couple ideas. Don't just say, are you interested in an article on XYZ? No. And that's it. Or you maybe say, here's a couple ideas. Here's idea 1, idea 2. Maybe pitch them a couple ideas. And then what they really like is, here's what I find is the key. I will write a 100% highly valuable, unique, and exclusive piece for your blog. So basically, this will be for your website. It'll be unique content. Nobody else will have it. A lot of blog owners, they like that offer, and that works really well. So this is just an example from one of my guest posts. This is a post I did on earlyrise.com on Thursday, December 9th, 2010. And yes, it does continue to drive traffic today. And that's the benefit. So, it takes longer, but it can drive traffic for years. The guest post, why this is better. So you could post on your own website, and I recommend you do that. That will take time for your own site to get authority and presence. What's nice about a guest post is that this can be both immediate and long-term. So if someone has a highly trafficked blog and they post your guest post, you will get an immediate flood of visitors from that, and then you'll also continue to get visitors for years to come. So as far as free traffic goes, quite frankly, doing guest posts on other websites is one of my favorite methods of driving free traffic. It's also, if you're inclined to do so, it's a service you can offer for your clients. So one of my friends, I refer a lot of web work to her, but that's basically one of the things that she offers is SEO services, and part of it is I write blog posts for your site, but I also write guest posts for other websites, and she charges a fee for that. So guest posting were one of my favorite free traffic methods. And then the theme, I already hinted toward this at the beginning of this presentation. I said that most things you'll see when it comes to traffic is the intent is to drive traffic back to your website, and if applicable, because a lot of times people aren't really into like the promotion type thing, but if allowed, make your free offer. So if you want to find out how to build your list and make multiple sales online, you can find more list building articles and get your free special report, 7 Steps to Internet Marketing Success at, and then link to website. So I did this article, and the purpose of the article was get in front of people, but to get them back to my website, and I gave a specific call to action to get a free report and get onto the email list. That was my favorite free method. A paid method that works extremely well is banner advertising. And this is all along the lines of that top 100 strategies. So where am I finding these websites to do guest posts on? Well, from my research from the top 100 strategy, where would I find a website to run a banner ad on? Well, it's probably maybe even the same website that I offered to do a guest post on, or one of these websites. So we've all seen banner ads before. Just know if you go to a website and you see banner ads on it, most likely you can run an ad on that website. Either they sell ads directly or they run their ads through like the Google ad network, but you can get your ad on other people's websites. And generally speaking, you have pretty ads and ugly ads. Ugly ads tend to work really well, and usually the ads, if I were to do a banner ad, I would do a free offer. Free special report shows you how to get XYZ. Click here to get it now. Download free. Most of the ads would be lead generation type ads. So here's a couple ads from different places around the internet. So there's a couple ways to do banner ads. This one is just your all-out ugly type of ad. So yellow highlighted, big bold red. 3 weird ways to make money on the internet. Free report reveals all. Click here now. You've seen a lot of these types of ads. One weird secret, one weird trick. They still work today. Otherwise, people wouldn't be running them. One tip for a flat belly. There's 2 ways to do an ad. When you're looking at a website, you can either make an ad that is really ugly and obnoxious and just jumps off of the website, or you can do an ad that kind of blends in. That's what you see on the Motley Fool a lot. They kind of make themselves look like a New York Times, Wall Street Journal. They're kind of like a newspaper type site. So this is actually an ad on their site, but honestly, doesn't this just look like a news story with a headline and copy? But if you read this, you would see that this is actually some copy that gets you interested to click here to see the surprise ending. And if you're doing videos, clickable, you'll notice that most of the ads, though, these are all banner ads, but they all have underlined text, clickable links, and usually some type of call to action. Those are 2 best ways to do an ad, is that if you're running a banner ad on a website, either make it really ugly so it stands up off the website, or make it seem like it's more like an advertorial and it actually seems like it's a content part of the website. Again, I joked about buzzwords earlier on. Everyone's talking about native advertising these days, and native ads, and all the native ad is an advertorial. We've been doing these things for years. What are people talking about? This new thing, and everyone's all getting controversy over it. funny, isn't it? So newsletter advertising. This is another form of paid advertising, which works really well too. So the idea here would be basically, well, we get the newsletters from AWAI. So and usually in AWAI, they're promoting their own stuff. So they'll have ads in their own newsletters. So it's the same principle. The only thing is, what if I could go to AWAI and say, can I pay you money and you put my ad in there? And that's basically paid newsletter advertising. One thing a lot of people get confused with is it is absolutely not okay to ever buy a bunch of email addresses and send emails. You'll see a lot of people advertising stuff like that, like, oh yeah, we'll email 1 million people. It's only you don't want to do that kind of stuff. But there are companies, so legitimately, I don't think they do it, but legitimately, AWI, if they wanted to, they could make an offer and say, hey, if you'd like, the next time we send an email to our list, we'll put your ad in it, and here's how much it costs. There's a lot of companies that have newsletters, and that's the integration marketing part. Remember, I highlighted the forum with Jack Canfield. So if I'm looking and I see that there's a website in my top 100 that is building a list, I'll look to see if they offer paid advertising in their newsletter. And there's really a handful, a couple different ads. So generally, if it's more like a newsletter, they might have, like, you can do a sponsorship at the top of or in the middle, or at the end. So it's basically ads in like an e-zine. Or they might even say, well, we'll just send a straight promo to our list with just your copy in it. That would be a solo ad. Generally, if I highlighted top and solo, so everything, as I mentioned, is always subject to testing, but through our testing, and I hear from other marketers who do this type of stuff, usually, even though the top ad is going to be the most expensive ad, it's the only one that's really going to give you a return on investment. And then also the solo ad will absolutely be the most expensive ad, but you'll get the best return on investment from that. Usually the middle and the bottom ads, so this is in a newsletter and even on a website. So when we were looking at the website, the ads at the top of the website are going to cost more. Those will generally give you the return on investment. Usually you'll see, oh, well, the ad at the bottom of the website is only $100, but you probably won't even get a return on that, whatever, and it ranges. It all depends on the website and how much traffic, but you're free to, of course, test different ads and what you want to do, but that's generally our experience. And same thing with ads. If I'm doing a banner ad on a website or an ad in a newsletter, generally I'm going to offer my free report or lead generator. So here's a newsletter. This is someone in my market who has a big list and he sells newsletter advertising. So it's your typical newsletter. I'll do the pointer on the Mac. So in today's newsletter, and here's his headline, and here's his text, and then here's the first spot for the ad. And this is my ad here. So in the ad, new internet profit report, picture of the report, top 3 fastest ways, click here to get it now. And that's basically an ad inside a newsletter. And you'll notice that the ad I do is a lead generation ad to get people, and that would go back to a squeeze page. And that's the one thing I'll say. Usually whenever you're doing paid ads, you always get to control the destination. A lot of times if you're doing a guest post, the blog owner will say, well, I'll link back to your homepage, but I'm not going to link to your sales page or your landing page. Or they might feel that that's kind of markety, and they're not doing that. On the flip side, with a paid ad, if I'm giving you money and paying for this ad, you're going to let me send that traffic wherever the heck I want it to go. So, and usually that's the only way you can make paid ads work, is if you send them specifically to a landing page or a squeeze page. Not to get into a more advanced discussion of funnels, but usually the way you would monetize that is you have the ad, the squeeze page, and as soon as they opt in, you make them a low ticket offer, and hopefully the money you make on the low ticket offer can subsidize or even fund the paid ad, and then the majority of the money is made on the back end. That's my 30-second funnel discussion. That's how you make up money online. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week. So joint venture traffic is a lot of stuff that we already talked about could be a joint venture. So instead of going to someone and saying, hey, can I pay money to run an ad in your newsletter, or can I pay money to have a banner, maybe we can do a deal together. Hey, if you run this ad, I'll give you X percentage of every sale or profit that's generated from it. Or you can maybe even barter or exchange services. Hey, if you run this ad, or if you let me do a guest post on your site, maybe I can help you with this. So really, as far as joint ventures go, it's only limited by your creativity. But as I mentioned earlier, the most typical joint ventures are basically a quid pro quo, this for that. And a lot of times the biggest challenge most people have is, well, if I'm just getting started, or I'm trying to get established, or I'm trying to work with someone at a higher level, where's the equity in that? So in a lot of cases, you can do the snowball method I mentioned. You can start small and build up. Or in a lot of cases, it might be, and you can also work as you grow your list, work with people. So, hey, if I have a 10,000 person list, and someone comes to me and wants to do a joint venture, and they only have a 2,000 person list, it wouldn't be equal if we both did a mailing, but maybe I could just mail 2,000 to my people, and he can mail 2,000. So there's ways you can divide up the equity. One thing that's not uncommon, and this is especially if you're going to be working with people in the information marketing space, is in the information marketing space, a good method is to offer high commissions. We're dealing with digital products that don't really have any cost. Front end, a joint venture, people are promoting us for free, so there's no advertising cost. So it's not uncommon in the digital marketing space to offer 75 to 100% commissions on the front end just to get that lead and to get that buyer onto your list. Some people even offer more than 100% because they know they'll make it up on the back end. So those are just some ideas for joint ventures. And a lot of times, even in the bricks and mortar world, a lot of people, they just don't do joint ventures. I mean, it's so simple to get local business owners who don't directly compete to work together and create a mailer. I don't know if we're really talking about offline marketing. I have a couple things to say about offline, even though this is the web copy intensive. So if you're on any marketer's list, you probably see stuff like this all the time where one guru mails for another guru. Generally, that's a joint venture, and generally the arrangement is that they're going to get paid a percentage of every sale that's made. That's generally how that works. Okay, search engine traffic. So a lot of search engine traffic we talked about has to do with either blogging on your own site or doing guest posts on other people's websites. As I mentioned, the key to blogging, whether you're doing it on your own site or other people's site, is, and there's so much stuff in the SEO space as far as, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and Google doesn't like this, that, the other thing. There's a lot of ways to geek out with SEO, but what we find to be true in the long term is that if you just create good quality content and original content on a regular and consistent basis, long term you will rise in the search engines and be found. The key to it is, it's all the key, the quality, but really you got to be consistent. So the biggest mistake, blogging is basically a commitment or a decision. You're either going to do it or you're not if you want to get results. So if you're going to do it, ideally you're going to do it consistently. And one thing so a lot of times people get relief when I say this, but I will give you permission right now. If you don't want to blog, you don't have to. So for a lot of people, the idea of doing a blog on a regular basis, I don't want to do that, I can't do that. Well, hire someone if you don't want to do it. I mean, you should do it, but you don't have to. Blogging may not be a part of your strategy. Like I said, there's tons of different ways to drive traffic. I, for one, am a fan of it. I like blogging. I'm more into the guest posting, to be honest with you, as opposed to I really should blog more on my own site. But hey, like I said, if you're going to do it, do it. If you're not going to do it, don't do it. With blogging, there's two ways to handle that. The good thing about evergreen content is people are always going to be searching for this information. This will give you the more leveraged long-term traffic. You may not get a ton of immediate traffic if you're blogging on an evergreen topic, but you know that people will continue to search for this for years to come. Basically, evergreen is anything that's, if I can say something right now that's true today, and I know it will be true 5 years from now, that's basically evergreen content. Basically what I talked about, with what I do, when I teach list building and lead capture, that will always be true. Every business will always be a list building, lead capture, lead generation business. That's evergreen content. If I were to write an article about how to get a lot of traffic from Twitter, that's not evergreen. That's 2 years, Twitter might not even be here. So that's the way to think about that. And then the new trends, the benefit of writing about new trends is, it's new, it's hot, it's an opportunity to talk about it before everyone else is, so you can get a lot of quick traffic. But in a lot of cases, that's just going to die down because it's not evergreen. It's 2 years from now, it might not even be relevant. Nobody might not even be searching for it. So I tend to do a mix of evergreen versus new trends. Everything I do in my business, the longer and longer my business goes on, and I tend to try to do things that are more passive income, more evergreen. But if I was just starting out, I would definitely focus a lot on new trends. SEO, we don't really need to get into the geek-related stuff. As far as SEO copywriting goes, and you will have a full session on SEO from what I understand, just know that what you write in the title and in the description has a lot to do with how many people are actually going to click the link. So when you get your SEO training, I'm sure you're going to get some training on writing SEO titles and descriptions. That's another way to optimize your clients' websites. You could probably do a website audit and see that your clients absolutely do not have their titles and descriptions optimized. And that's a way to generate some income. And video marketing. The reason why video is so effective is because so few people do it relative to other things. But if you're so inclined to do it, or you have a client who would be inclined to do it, having them create videos, and these days you can literally just use like an iPod, an iPhone and a tripod and have HD quality video. Just get, as I mentioned earlier, get like a lav mic hooked up to it. It's a great way to get ranked in the search engines and get traffic. And same thing with video. You could optimize titles for videos, maybe even get into script writing for videos. And there's an opportunity to make sure videos end with calls to action and facilitate the next step. Just some examples. In different ways, you can do talking head videos, or you can just record content. Like if I were to get access to this presentation, I could maybe break it up into bits and post it to YouTube. And then you notice I have a call to action, link back to website. And that's a way to drive traffic from the video search engines back to your website. Pay-per-click. So if I were starting, and even today, the opportunity is with Facebook ads. I think, I'm going to say this, right now I think that as far as paid advertising goes, the greatest opportunity for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners is Facebook paid advertising. And if I do Facebook paid advertising, you're probably starting to see more and more of these, is as you scroll your news feed, you might actually see an ad where there's an offer to attend a webinar, sign up for a teleseminar, or do a free report, and that drives you back to the website. So same thing is true. If you're going to do Facebook paid ads, the funnel would be to do a lead generation ad. If you're interested in exploring paid ads, without any training, I would just dive into Facebook. The platform is relatively easy to use, and as far as your copywriting knowledge goes, a Facebook ad is as simple as targeting the right audience. So what's my demographic? What are their interests? And then having good copy as far as the headline and the body copy, and then click to get them to your squeeze page. So Facebook paid ads, I think, is good right now. Press releases. What we're going to cover is in the final part of our presentation is a spin on press releases called news releases. I think you guys are really going to like this. It's really effective. It's working well right now. It's a great way to either use your own business or to really appeal to your clients' egos and get them results quickly in their business. The web release is specifically what we're going to talk about next. The reason why I want to focus on the web release is because, like I said, a lot of these methods we looked at, especially with the paid ad, and that's why I went quickly over to paid. There's no way I could train you to do paid ads right now, but these are things that you can implement quickly with little or no time. Once you get a template going, it's quick to produce, and it can get pretty quick results. It's somewhat of a paid. It's so inexpensive though. It's only $30 I'll show it to you in the next session. So press releases, web releases, we will go into in detail. And then social media, I kind of hinted toward this with the integration strategy, but that's, as far as the free method goes, that's the best way to use social media, is on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, to, just like you did with the websites, identify who are the influencers on Twitter, who are the people in my market or who attract my market or attract my client's market that have huge Twitter followers or Facebook pages, and just how can I connect with them and build a relationship so that maybe there's a possibility that they would promote me or do business with me or refer people to me. So as far as the social media networks go, for the free stuff on social media, it's about the relationships and just getting to know people. And then for the paid on social media, for paid, you can absolutely do direct. Click here to sign up for my free report or my webinar. And then viral marketing. I mentioned earlier that as far as leverage traffic goes, I really think viral marketing is a great opportunity. What's cool about viral marketing is that you can probably incorporate this into all of the things that you're already doing. So some ways to do this is, say in your special reports, you can let people know in your special report, hey, thanks so much for downloading my free special report. Feel free to email this or give this to anybody else who you think would benefit from them. So you can give people permission to distribute your free reports. You can give call to action at the end of your free report to, did you like this free report? Share it on social media. Click now to share it on Twitter or Facebook. So you can get people to start promoting your stuff for you. In your autoresponders, you can pre-program a call to action in your autoresponders so that every email message that you ever send out to everybody always gives them a call to action of, do you know someone else who would benefit from this? Feel free to forward it to them. Or one I think I've had, it's either AWAI or it's one of, it might be an Agora company. Recently they've been doing, did someone forward this to you? That's okay. You can sign up for your own subscription and click here, and it takes them to their squeeze page. So you can use your emails to get people to spread or opt into what you're doing. And of course, I mean, this is not cutting edge here stuff. Like this page, retweet it, pin it. One thing I'll mention, this may not be appropriate for every marketplace, but the data that we're seeing is that Pinterest just surpassed Twitter, and outside of Facebook, Pinterest is the #1 social media as far as driving traffic. So you may have clients who Pinterest is very appropriate for, just posting pictures, and that can drive a ton of traffic to the website. So just your typical share, Google+, LinkedIn buttons. Less is usually more as far as actually getting an action to share, instead of having like all the buttons out there. So Twitter buttons on the right, share this video underneath. So just like you can have specific calls to action below content, soliciting people to share. And this is an example from one of our free reports we give out. So at the end of the free report, we tell them to visit us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, help us spread the word. So specific calls to action in the free reports. And then finally, offline marketing. I know this is an online web copy intensive, and these days, offline is not as cool as online. If you do use offline, so I have a lot of clients who do radio interviews, TV interviews. I always still advocate using the two-step process. In your offline, always offer your free offer. And remember what I said at the very beginning of the presentation, everything you do off of your website, the purpose is to get people back to the website. Books these days, Kindle publishing, I just throw this out there. I mentioned this in some side conversations. I'm really into Kindle publishing these days. Joshua mentioned that publishing a book and being an expert is a great way to get high-quality clients who will pay you more. Kindle publishing is something definitely worth exploring. But here's a book. This is actually a print book, not a Kindle one. But the byline offers my free report at the end of the with the link to the squeeze page. I'll send out to, this is usually to clients, so this isn't free prospects. What I find is for offline mail, sending it to people who are already customers can give you positive ROI. So it's like a New Year card I send out, and usually I'll give them some place to go, some type of link back to the website. And then my favorite one, so even your business cards, this is the back of my business, the front of my business card, my picture, signature. The back of it, though, I have a picture of my free report. Looks just like the squeeze page I showed you earlier. Picture of the free Internet Profit Report reveals how to get more traffic, build your list, make more money, download now. And that's a tracking link. So what's important to know is this link here goes to a squeeze page, but that squeeze page is dedicated to my business card. So I know that any lead, whoever opts in through that page, only came from my business card that I handed out at networking events or whatever, because there's no way anyone else would ever know what that link was. So that's a way to track offline activity. Same thing, here's a magazine ad we did for the network marketing niche, and really the call to action was just, hey, free special report for network marketers, shows you how to do this, that, bullet, 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 and then the link. And of course, as I already mentioned, the best traffic you'll ever get is from your own email list, and that's why so even though we went through a flurry of traffic options, you saw that really every ad, the purpose of everything we did, whether it was a blog post, a Facebook ad, whatever the offline ads, it was to offer a lead magnet to get them back to the site, to get them onto a list, because most of your profits, most of your clients' profits will come from your email list, hands down, over any traffic source ever. End of story, period. So action steps. Identify the top websites in your market, or help your clients identify the top websites in their market. Determine if and how you can integrate with them. Can I do blogs? Can I buy paid ads? Can I do banner ads? Can I write a guest post? Decide what types of content to create. Are we going to do articles? Am I going to do videos? Maybe I'll do podcasting. That's a hot thing these days. Create a content schedule. And as I mentioned several times, I would focus on mastering just one method. I think that was even Joshua's advice. He said just do one, right? Just for 12 months, just master one traffic method, scale that out, and then grow. And then I would dedicate, this is something I do, I would dedicate time each week for traffic research. So the idea here is that we did our initial research, we did our top 100, but to constantly be looking for other opportunities. What are some new websites coming out, or what are new places? What are some places I haven't seen before? Just kind of keep looking for different ways that you can reach new audience. And that's it for the traffic presentation.